Hey friends, and welcome to the Revive Everyday Living podcast.
We are your hosts, Courtney
and Sharaya, and we're talking everything from life situations, relationships,
friendships, and parenting,
and all our adventures.
So stick around because
we are getting real. Hey y'all, it's Friday.
That was really country.
We are from Texas, where we ride horses on the highway.
We are excited that you all are joining us today for another episode of Revive Everyday Living.
Yes, today we are talking outside of the comfort zone.
Ooh, yes. Oh, that's a hard one. Stepping outside of your comfort zone. We have experienced a lot of things this week that are definitely outside of our comfort zone.
Oh my Jesus. So it snowed in San Antonio, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
All of my life, it has not snowed here. It's like flurries and we act like it's the end of the world. But this time it was like for real snow on the ground. Like,
and it lasted.
For a whole week, the city was shut down, which was a bummer because I really wanted to go out in the streets and wear my trench coats and my boots, and I wanted people to see me.
And you wanted sweet tea.
Oh my God, I wanted sweet tea so bad. Even when the city opened, this is what drove my hot nerve. When the city opened, then we can't have any drinks because now like our water is all contaminated or something. And I'm like, really? I can't even have sweet tea at this point either? Like, I don't know what is happening in this world.
God's having you drink your water.
Yes, and mind my business.
And mind your business. So that was out of your comfort zone because you wanted sweet tea and you had to drink water.
Courtney, who goes to ChickfilA?
Nobody.
Yes, everybody goes to ChickfilA, but who goes to ChickfilA and does not get a sweet tea?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody.
Like, I was absolutely disappointed when she said, "Ma'am, we have no tea. In fact, we have no drinks." I'm like, what? What do you mean? I don't understand.
But let's give a shout out though to Chick-fil-A because they didn't make you pay for a full meal without the sweet tea.
That's all I can give you.
I'll tell you what though, I did see something about Chick-fil-A with their employees out in the snow servicing us who are diehard Chick-fil-A fans. So shout out to Chick-fil-A. If you want to sponsor one of our episodes, hit us up on Instagram, Chick-fil-A.
Check us out on our email, reviveeverydayliving@gmail.com.
Yes. Yes.
We can take that out.
No, we're not. I want to be sponsored by Chick-fil-A. We could be drinking sweet tea every episode from Chick-fil-A.
No, this is right. This is true. Okay, I'm here for, and the ice.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But let's talk comfort zones. So I want to start it off with this. The other day, I was on Clubhouse, and I was in a room that said, I am, right? And so when you come into the room, the whole point of it is just to say your I ams for the day. And if you don't have I ams, I suggest that you get your book, get your little journal, the journal you should have had last week, and get you a page that says I ams, and let's start writing down I ams. So in the room, we're talking I ams. And so it was my turn to say an I am. And I said, I am living outside of the box. And so one of the ladies was like, well, tell me about this box. Like, you know, she wanted to go deeper into why did I say that? And I was like, oh, it's just a box that I created for myself. Like, I put myself in a box. It's not really about society or anything like that. And she was like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, I had to think about it. Sometimes we put ourselves in boxes and we limit our own selves from so many things. And I realized that during my self-discovery journey that I now make it a point to not limit me.
I like that. I think also so many times people are living in their box for so long that they don't even realize they're living in a box.
That was me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I had a box. Like, it's really weird.
You get so used to the familiar that you never even think to step outside and live outside of your box.
Mm-hmm. And me being a person of, I do not do change well.
You're a creature of habit.
And like, I didn't realize being a creature of habit in the way that I was, I limit myself from so many different things for no apparent reason.
That's a good one. I think so many times God is trying to do a new thing in us, but because we are so afraid to step outside of the familiar, we're missing out on everything that we've been praying, that we've been asking, that we've been prophesying for. How many times have you heard people say that they are praying for a new thing to happen in their lives, that we hear pastors prophesying, a new thing is coming, and yet when that new thing comes, because it's so unfamiliar to you, you're sitting over there like saying, not today, Satan. We're rebuking the new thing because it's not something that we wanted to happen. We ask God to bless us, and then we expect to be able to tell him how to bless us.
That takes us back to our Dealing with Disappointment episode when we talked about our expectations. And we are expecting God to do a thing in purple, and we want a little bit of green, we want a little bit of pink, and splash that gold sparkles on it. And if I don't see it that way, then it's not the new thing.
Yeah, we run from it because we don't understand it.
Yep. And so sometimes we've learned, even last week, that having that mindset and being so stuck on the way we want to think, we limit ourselves to so many things. That was a box that I had put myself in, that if it's not done my way, it was almost like the my way or the highway moment that I was having with God that is the creator of all things and who supersedes my expectations and my imagination. I was being the mastermind, and if he didn't do it in my master, the way that I considered a masterpiece, then it was garbage.
Ooh, yeah. It goes back to when I was saying, God, I got some ideas. I can help you. And God's like, I don't need your ideas. We keep wanting God to do this new thing in our lives, in our families, in our finances. And he is more than ready to help us and to give us those things. But it requires us to take that bold step of faith in getting out of our comfort zone, stepping into a place that we have never seen or we've never been before. So how many times have you prayed for a new thing to happen, and then when God sent the new thing, because you didn't understand it, because it was a place where you've never been before, it involved people that you have never been around, you said, nope, it's not new, and you didn't believe it, so you didn't take that step of faith. So, Sharia, I want to ask you a question.
Come on.
What does it look like to level up our faith when we have to step into a place that is not in our comfort zone?
For me, leveling up my faith is when I grab my prayer journal and I look at what I've been praying for.
We asked y'all to get your prayer journals last week. So continue on about this prayer journal you got.
So this prayer journal, you have your prayers in there. What are the things that you're asking God for? You're tracking your petitions and you're tracking his answers, right? So when it's time for me to level up my faith, it was something like, Lord, I want an apartment, right? When I was 18, Lord, I want my own apartment. I want to be able to afford it. I want my apartment. So then he gave me an apartment. So then that level up was, back then was, okay, I need a 2-bedroom apartment. I want to be able to afford it. This is the space I want to be in, all of that good stuff. Now, my level of faith, upping my level of faith is I'm in a home, but now I want acreage. Lord, I'm believing you for 1.5 acres. That's a leveling up, right? So I'm looking in my journal. What am I asking God for? So now I'm leveling up my ask, but then I'm also leveling up those things that I'm doing to maintain what I'm asking for. So additional stream of income, those credit things that need to be in space, the way that I'm thinking, my perception of things, my time with God, that has to be leveled up, because now I need the energy to sustain my next level. I haven't been here in faith before. I haven't been on this level, so I don't know what's happening here. So I have to be connected with him to help sustain me on this new level while I'm learning. And for me, learning and going to a new level is something of a challenge. So I have to be journaling. I have to spend that time with him so I can function on the new level, because now it's my desire to go there. What does leveling up look like to you?
Leveling up for me is a trust process. It is a way for me to look back at the things that God has brought me through. I'm able to see that once I stepped out of my comfort zone and I trusted God that he was going to do something in my life, even when I didn't understand it, that's when I knew I was leveling up. For example, I moved here about 8 years ago from a town that's probably about 5 hours away. And when I moved here, I knew nobody. I had no friends here. I did not have a church. I didn't have anybody. The closest person was my brother, and he was about an hour and a half away. But I chose to step out of my comfort zone because I knew that it was a calling for me to be here. And I knew that God wanted me to get my kids into a different space for more opportunities. But I was scared because being a single mom, moving 4.5, 5 hours away from everything that you've ever known, moving away from everybody that you've ever known into a completely different city, knowing nobody, was totally out of my comfort zone and something that I would have never done if I didn't know that God was not right there next to me.
Courtney, why did you pick San Antonio?
I didn't necessarily pick San Antonio. I really was like, okay, God, if this is something that you want me to do, then I need you to show me where you want me to be. And I took about a week and a half off of work and I came up to this area and I applied for about 5 different jobs all around the San Antonio, Austin area. And in one day, I got 3 job offers, all in this area, in one day. It was kind of crazy because I didn't tell anybody that I was coming up here to apply for jobs. I didn't tell anybody that I was moving over here. I really didn't want anybody's opinion on the matter because I knew this was something that God wanted me to do. And sometimes I feel like when you involve too many people into your and God's plan, they'll try and convince you otherwise.
Yes.
So I kept it a secret. Like I said, came up here, got those 3 job offers in one day, and I had nobody to tell. Like, what am I going to do with this? What do I do? Like, I need advice. And my mom was vacationing in Mexico at the time, and I called her hotel, and she was out. And when she got back to the hotel, she thought it was like a major emergency because who calls over there to Mexico when they're on vacation? And so she calls me back and I'm like, Mom, like, I need you to tell me what to do. And the decision was made to move to this specific area because one of the jobs that I was offered provided not only a good paying job, but it also allowed me to be with my 3 boys all day long. We were both in the same location at school. We got off at the same time. We had the same vacation. So that was super important to me, moving to an area where I didn't know nobody to watch my kids because they were young at the time. So just being able to be with them when I needed to be with them was super important. So that's why I didn't necessarily pick San Antonio. God kind of picked it out and just laid it all out for me. So coming out of my comfort zone was very God orchestrated, and it was up to me to follow his plan and to be willing to come out of my familiar area.
So you said a lot, and my favorite part, or the part that I want to pull apart, is where you said you did not have Like, you didn't have a plan. You didn't know where. You just knew, like, okay, God, I need you. But then you had no one to share it with and no one to ask questions because you were being, I like to call it, like, in your secret place. I'm in my secret place making decisions, me and God. But once you made a decision, you said, I didn't have anyone to ask for advice. Why do you think that you had to ask someone else for advice when you made the decision in secret with your partner?
I think that all comes down to human nature. Why is it so easy for us to trust Siri, for us to trust Alexa, for us just to Google something that we're not familiar with? Why is it so easy for us to trust even GPS to get us out of an unfamiliar location and into somewhere that we are destined to belong to? But yet when it comes time to trust God, we question the whole process.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Isn't that, I feel like I totally agree with you with the human nature because we're conditioned, like my 6-year-old, he's conditioned to say, hey, Google.
Yeah. And ever since we're little, like how many times have you seen a 2-year-old say, why? Or how does that work? How does this work? Like we are conditioned to always ask questions, to always wonder, to always, be in search of answers. And when we don't have that tangible, like right there, right now, instant gratification of the answer, then it's kind of like we have time to process it and question it and wonder, like, God, is that really you? Like, are you really telling me to do this? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, why didn't I just say, God, you know what? Thank you for blessing me with 3 jobs in one day. Which one do you want? Like, obviously, he could have been like, hey, you should pick this one. And I did go back and pray about it. And that is why I chose the job that I'm at right now. But my first honest initial response was to call somebody else and ask them for advice.
I think that it's 2 things. It's we are conditioned to ask questions, but we sometimes ask the question to the wrong person. So we've learned already to ask question. We haven't necessarily learned who to ask the question to. And then the second thing is sometimes it is just scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And we want acceptance.
Yeah. We want that. I made an okay decision, even though I didn't make it with you.
I mean, going back to the whole move, that was a move 5 hours away from everybody and anything I've ever known, from anybody that my boys have ever known, into a completely unfamiliar area without knowing anybody. Even knowing like that was God's will for my life at the time, it was still scary. It was the whole coming out of your comfort zone.
So now that you're out of your comfort zone and you had that really big experience, I always say that my experiences with God is what keeps me connected and what keeps me going back to rely on Him. So now that you've went through that experience, how has your trust with Him outside of your comfort zone increased or kind of just mellowed out? Or have you seen any difference in your trust with Him because He pushed you outside of a comfort zone and you've seen His hand sustain you?
I think it's always an ongoing up and down kind of roller coaster ride. I know that God has always had His hand on my life through anything and everything that I've always been through. I know that I can look back and be like, God, you were there. God, you were there. God, I know that was you. But while you're going through that unfamiliar territory, sometimes it's rough. It's rough to see God's hand on that situation. But when we come out of that situation, then we can look back and be like, oh, that's what you were doing. Now I know why you brought me here. You were building me, like you were building me in that unfamiliar, uncomfortable space.
How do you handle in the uncomfortable though? When you're in the change. So I said, when we talked about it offline, my thing was, God, I trust you, but I trust Siri or my GPS differently than I trust him, because when I put in my Google Maps, I want to go to Courtney's house, it takes me straight to Courtney's house, right? But in my experience, me and Jesus' relationship, when I tell him I want to go to Courtney's house, he likes to take me through the back road. He likes to,
Yes.
you know, I'm going through a pothole or two, over a speed bump. I mean, I'm sitting in traffic because he's trying to teach me patience. Just all this things that I feel like are ridiculous and unneeded. I just need to get to Courtney's house. He's trying to teach lessons along the way. I prefer to look up on Google because I know Google is taking me straight there.
Yeah. Well, you have a really good GPS on your phone then, because I'm going to tell you something. When I moved here, I think I've been on every back road, farm to market, alleyway, dirt road, dead end up in a pond kind of road with my GPS. But let me tell you something. Through all of that, I've really enjoyed the journey. I've really enjoyed seeing the spaces that you don't see on the regular highway, that you don't see when you just go from A to B. You get to see the back roads, you get to see the wildlife, you get to see all the spaces that you would not see on a direct path.
And that leads into our next episode
Called Trust the Process, Enjoy the Journey. So Ephesians tells us that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly and beyond anything that we have ever seen or can imagine. So the next time you find yourself in the unfamiliar or out of your comfort zone, wondering if you should take that leap of faith, take it to the next level, step up your faith, and just see what God is doing. Once you take that step and you find yourself right in the middle of the uncomfortable, you will be able to look back and say, wow, God, you really got me. I may not have understood it at the time, but I trusted you. Until next time, keep it real. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Revive Everyday Living.
Be sure to subscribe, comment, and share.
Also, follow us on Instagram and Facebook.